Alright, the change of pace. Talked about it in the last couple videos. No, the Prius has got nothing to do with it. Don't worry. That's just getting ready to go to Weller's today. Scott came and picked up the Merc that he won in the waffle to support the Never Forgotten Honor Flight. Prius was right there, so now we finally got access to the garage again. So, what's the change of pace? Doing a lot of thinking, the way derbies are going this year, and just stuff that I enjoy doing in general, and the ridiculous amount of fucking cars I have here, and thinking need to just narrow the focus a little bit on what we want to do. So, the van, that is going to go to Weller's today. I'm probably not going to shoot the video on that. You guys have seen plenty of stuff go to Weller's and play with the claw game, so this one I'm not going to film. I'm sure I'll get you plenty more of those in the future. We have all these cars that were just delivered, and I told you guys if any of you want to run one of them, I'll get it to you cheap. So feel free to message me if you're interested in anything like that. But what's the change of pace? Those of you that watch pretty much everything we put up know that I have gone to film a few of the Impact Survival Series enduro races here in Wisconsin. A lot of you probably don't know, I started racing 4-cylinders when I was 16 and continued racing on pavement for about 10 years. Dabbled in a little bit of everything that I could, including I've ran a decent amount of enduro races. Well, the enduro series has been able to kick off, and they're able to go do their thing, and obviously we're not able to derby, so the opportunity came up for me to buy my old car back. This is a car that I bought and ran in a couple enduros. Adam actually ran this in one enduro. It's a 2005 Ford Focus ZX3 with a 5-speed. Actually originally built out of the shop of the promoter that runs the Impact Survival Series, Matt Rowe. It's a pretty quick little car. It's got some gremlins that we got to get figured out. The guy could only put about 15-20 laps on it and it would shut down. And then let it sit for 15-20 minutes and it would fire back up. So he thought it was an alternator. I don't know if that's the case. When I got there, the fuel pump was completely shot. So I don't know if the fuel pump's just been acting up and that's what was causing him to lose power. So we're going to start there. We'll get a new fuel pump put in it. I've got a ton of extra rims and tires along with it. This is Trixie. If anybody's curious, we'll explain Trixie eventually. The mount, piss poor job for the seat here, is broken, so we will fix that. But it does have a pretty decent cage in it aside from that seat mount. It's got a seat, got belts, all that stuff's in here already, so this thing's ready to race. So my plan is to get this car out a couple times because Lord knows I need to add more shit to my schedule, right? Okay. So, what does that do for the derby side of things? Don't worry, I'm not planning on walking away from derby, but enduros with the ISS series, if we didn't have the corona going on, usually they run a race in January, a March, an April, a May, and then they usually, I think they take off June, July, August, and then they've got a September, October. That's not enough races, so there's another one in there somewhere. But Matt always makes sure that he has at least 3 weeks in between each race to give guys a chance to put their shit back together. These races, guys, in case you haven't caught it, are, if they're on pavement, they're 300 laps. No red flags unless there's, or no yellow flags unless somebody is in danger. They will throw a red flag. Everybody has to stop. They'll get the driver out, but your car stays on the track as an obstacle. They have a pit stop at 200 laps in where you can change your tires or put gas in or anything that you need to do if you've managed to make it that far. It's a hell of a crew, guys. This is not demolition racing. I know this car looks like hell, but that's just because it's seen a lot of these events. These guys race really clean. Obviously, there's a lot of bumping and banging and stuff just because they put 100 cars on the track at one time. So there's a lot of shit going on. You end up, bouncing off quite a bit. So the car might look like it's a demolition derby race, but this is not. This is one of the cleanest racing series you will ever see. Yes, a lot of cars crash, a lot of mechanical failures, but I mean, when I first started doing these things, only about 30% of the cars would finish. Now they're well over 50% of the cars finish these races. So I'm going to put some more time and focus and love into this car, because the first time I owned it, I never gave it the love it deserved. Anyway, derby side of things. I think I have a destination for this car. I need to get the motor pulled out of it and get that back to Zach and get my motor put in it, and I think I know where I'm going to take it. This is still Blake's car. We've got that running, so we're going to have him take that to a gut and go show. GMC, I can no longer get this stupid thing to start, so if anybody wants that thing, it's for sale, or it's just going to get hauled into Weller's, stuffed nice and full of shit. I think I'm going to take that to Jim Falls. What do you guys think of that? 4-man team show? Why don't we take a wagon, huh? We'll see. Oldsmobile. Kyle's going to come pick that thing up. Kyle, I've been meaning to message you, but if you would rather just take that to the August show, feel free, because that's when they're doing the 72 and older. If you want to come back down and party with us in Boscobel, that's fine too. Mile race car. Folks, this is the car that I started racing in when I was 16. At Golden Sand Speedway. I'm actually going to de-pretty this one a little bit, and this is going to become my enduro dirt track car, because I do run on dirt also. This old girl is just too fucking heavy and too fucking old to be competitive on pavement, but I think in a race like the Chocolate Milk 150, where they have mud and shit in January, I think that'd be a good car for that. A little bit extra weight would help. My buddy Josh usually struggles there because he runs a 1,600-pound Honda. I'm thinking a 2,800-pound Beretta might do all right. The Ford will probably still run at some point here, I'm thinking, once I get the new engine out of the other car. Somebody is going to come pick this car up, and they are going to run that at the Never Forgotten Honor Flight Pavement Derby Gut and Go full-size class. That's going to be fun to see with a big old square Ford. It's literally going to be tape the doors, wire the doors, whatever, move the tank, move the battery, and go wreck this thing. That's pretty awesome. Full-size cars. I'm going to hang on to those. Trucks. All for sale. Anybody need a truck? This S10 that I just picked up, I would sell. It may end up just getting scrapped. The Ranger is for sale. It has a cage in it already. You guys saw us build the cage, but just in case you missed it, I'll take a waddle over there. It has a pretty stout cage in it. Doesn't have a halo yet, but be easy enough to add one if somebody wanted to. It's not perfect, but it'd be a damn fun truck to run, and it is legal to our rules. So anybody that wants to buy something and run it at one of our shows, I'm going to give you a better deal. But Ranger's for sale. That Ranger, she's fresh, has the 2.3 in it. This one's a V6. That thing is going to end up being for sale. Adam's S10, also for sale. It's got a similar cage to this, but his already has a halo. If you guys buy one of these things, I'm not going to include, tanks and pumps and that kind of shit, but the cage can stay in it. Pretty much it's going to just come as you're seeing it. Sorry, I'm not going to try to climb over there to get closer to that one. This Lincoln here, I'm probably just going to pull parts on and scrap. That thing's been sitting around here too long. I did finally crawl under it, and the boxes are pretty well rotted out of it. Square Lumina, we're going to keep. Good mid-size car. The built compact over there we'll keep. That's the Prism. I think Jake said he's got a pump and tank that would work for that car, so we will probably take advantage of that. Somebody's coming to pick up that full size. This Lumina will probably run. The Cavalier we may still try to run, but for the most part, guys, I'm going to eliminate anything that's van, SUV, truck, that kind of stuff. I may even sell a couple of the full-size cars, but my plan is build, you know, who knows what we're going to get to run this year. It looks like we might still get a couple shows in. That'd be nice. But my plan is build something like this, or like the box Ford or something like that, you know, put the engine in it, be able to run it a time or two. I mean, even with the way I drive a full-size car, you should be able to pull back down and get at least 2 runs out of. Maybe that's not always the case, but I would sure think that most of the time we can fix it. We'll run a little bit for mid-size, but I'd like to try to get most of my builds out of the way in the off-season, and I'm going to start putting a little bit more time, effort into the racing scene. So we'll be taking our GoPro along so you guys can watch. I know a 300 lap race is a lot to watch, but you'll be able to see some of that stuff, and I'll be able to go in and edit and pull out, you know, just the exciting stuff. So we will probably pull this thing in, and it's not going to be any different when we pull this thing into the garage. I'll show you what we're doing to it. All that fun stuff. Some of you guys might not be interested in the racing side of things, but don't worry. We're just expanding a little bit, and derby stuff's obviously still going to happen. So I have to get a lot of cars out of here. The car that I just ran at the last Eve, I think I'm going to junk. Just need to get rid of a lot of shit. Need to thin down a little bit. I'm sick of having cars here for 3 years. I just had my memory on Facebook pop up from 3 years ago when that car was added to the collection. So that means it's been longer than 3 years for that car, and longer than 3 years for that car. Longer than 3 years for the Ranger. Longer than 3 years for the Metric back there. That's just shitty. I don't want to see cars sitting around for that long. These cars should be crushed. Not like at a junkyard. They should be run. They should be smashed while they've still got life left. They shouldn't just be sitting and rotting, right? So that's the plan. If you guys are interested in anything, feel free to let me know. I'll probably list some of it rather soon. This GMC is really stupid clean. I know some of you guys like these things. I just can't figure out why it's not starting anymore, and I don't feel like fucking with it. So if anybody wants it, scrap prices are cheap. I'll sell everything for scrap for the most part. Maybe a little bit more than scrap on the Rangers or the Ranger and the S10. But if you're interested in anything, let me know. What do you guys think? Are you excited for the racing? Upset that we're racing? You can tell me either way. Appreciate you following along as always. 1Goose.